Michaels is an author, award-winning magician, and keynote speaker. He has been seen on Penn and Teller, Full Us, Huckabee, Stable TV, and the New York Times. Jason is a two-time TEDx presenter who has presented programs in 40 countries all around the world. Today we can expect to be amazed, to be inspired by his fascinating story, and to be empowered to overcome the impossibility in our own lives. Please welcome Jason Michaels.
Who has a favorite song? Okay. What's your favorite song? Oh, I thought you were sure. But you forgot. Different question. Who, that you can remember, who has a favorite song lyric? You have a favorite song lyric? What is it? Okay. I have a favorite song lyric. I actually have a couple, but my favorite song lyric is from a song in the 1990s. It's by a band called Blues Traveler. The song itself is called Run Around, and the song lyric goes like this. He sings, like a nervous magician waiting in the wings. Now, I guess the reason I like this song lyric so much is, number one, I'm a magician. For the last 25 years, I've traveled around the world, making people laugh and smile, performing magic tricks. Most of the time, card tricks. But the other reason that so there's that. I am a magician. To explain the quote, in case there's anybody who's not completely familiar with what that might mean, like a nervous magician waiting in the wings. Obviously, I'm a magician, I told you that. Now, waiting in the wings specifically refers to an area on the side of the stage in a traditional theater. In a traditional theater like this, usually, behind that wall over there would be another area it's part of the backstage, but it's specifically called the wings because it's on the very side, which brings us back to like a nervous magician waiting in the wings. And the reason I like this song lyric so much, I think, is because I found myself one day that this perfectly described me. I was standing in the wings. I was watching there's a young man standing at a podium like that one, and he was introducing. And I was, to be completely honest with you, I was nervous beyond belief. And the reason I was nervous, twofold. The first reason I was nervous is because I was wearing this device that had me cross my arms, and the arms were locked behind me. It's a heavy-duty device made out of heavy-duty canvas, and it is called a straitjacket. So I was locked into a straitjacket off in the wings on the side of the stage. You know what? Hang on. I wasn't just locked into any old straitjacket. I was locked into this straitjacket. This is the straitjacket that I was locked into. This was one of the very first times I had ever attempted this classic feat of escape artists or of magicians. The second reason I was nervous, in addition to the fact that I was going to attempt to escape out of this straitjacket, is because I was getting ready to walk on stage. And I was getting ready to tell the entire world. You see, there were a whole bunch of people gathered, but this was being broadcast on the internet, and it was a TED Talk. And so anybody in the world who wanted to watch this could tune in. I was getting ready to tell the entire world my deepest, darkest, most embarrassing secret. Now, this secret, which is a big deal, we're actually going to get back to. And the reason we're going to get back to is because what I have learned is when you tell someone you're a magician, if you don't pretty quickly show them that you're a magician, that you can actually perform magic, then what happens is the entire time I'm up here, people are asking themselves, did he say he was a magician? Can he do that? I don't believe. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to get somebody involved, and I'm going to do a quick magic trick. I got somebody. What is your favor, just come up a little bit closer. We'll just do this right here. What is your name? Jada? Jada, I have a deck of cards here, and here's what's going to happen. I'm going to, normally when people do card tricks, what they do is they spread the cards out and offer them to you and then say the 5 famous words of magic. You know the 5 famous words of magic? Pick a card. All right, we're going to do it a little differently, Jada. I'm going to show you a whole bunch of choices. Do you see a card you'd like to use? You can reach up there and take it for me. Now, here's the deal. This is a big room. Not everybody's going to be able to see this card, so you're going to kind of have to show it to a few folks so that several people over here can see it, but you're going to have to be able to communicate to everybody if I have to get this right. So, Jada, don't let me see it. I'm going to give the card. Here's what's going to happen, Jada. I'm going to give the cards a little bit of a mix. It's going to look like so. I will shuffle the cards, and when you say stop, we're going to have you put the card back in the deck. So you let me know when to stop shuffling. Stop card goes back right there. All right, very good. Appreciate your help. You can go back to your seat. Now, Jada knows what the card is. You can verify what the card is if I happen to get it. Yes, you can do that. And you showed several other people as well. So here's the deal. We're going to try to find, Jada, your card not by looking through the cards face up. We're going to do this the much more interesting way. We're going to try to find that card by looking through the cards where they all look the same, face down, which is far more difficult for obvious reasons. Interestingly enough, Jada, sometimes you get lucky, and I'm willing to say that this card right here, this one, is not yours. I know. That's why I said it's not your card. You know, you guys actually brought me in here just to tell you that today. So here's the good news. I found one card that is not your card, Jada, and now I'm going to find 50 more cards that are also not going to be your card. This is a really long card trick. But hang on a second, because in all the blue cards, there does happen to be one red back card. I guess there are different ways to eliminate 51 cards. You remember what your card was, don't you? And the reason it matters is because the red back card in the blue back deck is a Jack of Diamonds in a nice, loud, clear voice. Was that your card? Yes. Yes. So let's give Jane a round of applause. Now, here's the question. Most people, when they do this, when they participate in a magic trick, they select a card and they pay a great deal of attention to the face of the card because that's the value. That's what everybody is interested in. What very few people do is notice the back of the card. Obviously, that is a red back card. It is the only red back card in a deck of cards that are all blue on the back. When you had the card in your possession, maybe even when you were showing it off, by chance, did anybody nearby, or did you, Jada, happen to get a glimpse of the back of the card? You thought it was blue? Yeah, did anybody else see that as well? Yeah. Now, the reason that matters is because before we began, I put a card in my pocket. It's at the very bottom of my pocket. It's right here, and it's a blue back card, Jada. It's a blue back Jack of Diamonds. It looks a lot like your blue back Jack of Diamonds, Jada. Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. Now let's do this. Would you mind helping me out real quick? Would you mind participating? What's your name? Henry, do me a favor. Come up here and grab one. Yeah. I'm just gonna spread out the cards. Take it. Go ahead. Make sure. Okay, so Henry, show it to a few people. Make sure you know what it is as well. All right. All right. So here's what's going to happen. The card. Don't let me see it. All right. The cards are going to spring off my fingertips. It looks like that. When you say stop, we'll put the card back in the deck. All right. Card goes back in the pack. All right, perfect, and we'll lose it right there. All right, very good. Let's give Henry a round of applause for helping out. Henry, you placed the card pretty close to center in the pack. That's where you said stop. Would it impress you if I've already, through dexterity and card manipulation, if I had already located where your card was, controlled it in such a way so that it is out of the deck and all the way where I need it to be on the very top of the deck. If your card, which was in the middle a moment ago, is on top of the deck, on a scale of 1 to 10, 0 being, 1 being least impressive, 10 being most impressive, how much would that impress you specifically? A 9. Do me a favor. Here, you know what? Come back. Here, do me a favor. Stand right here. Turn so that they can see your profile and just hold your hand out for me. The fact that I can get your card, the, what is that? The, excuse me, the 10 of, the 10 of hearts, that is only slightly impressive. What most people don't realize is that before we started, hang on one second. You know what? That's not totally me. Oh, that's not me. You didn't pick the, Your card wasn't the 10 of hearts, was it? That's what I was afraid of. Did you pick a 10 though? Was it a 10? Oh, it was. Was it the other red 10? No. There's a lot of negativity coming from you right now. What was, no, which 10 was it? The pointy one? Yeah. Hey, do you remember Jada's card? The card that's behind my back over there on the table? Don't move. Hey, Jada, you remember your card? The red back card? You see, it actually changed into Henry's card. And if I take Henry's card now, which was Jada's card, and I tap it against the 10 of hearts in your hand, when you turn it over, it'll turn into the 10 of spades, and you'll show them. Go do it right now. Is that the 10 of spades? So about that deep, dark, embarrassing secret. In order to share with you the deep, dark, embarrassing secret, I kind of have to tell you a story. And the story goes like this. It starts off with a 7-year-old, and the 7-year-old was sitting in the passenger side while Dad was driving across town. And they were on their way to school. And for some reason that the 7-year-old couldn't understand, nor could Dad, nor could anyone else, that 7-year-old kept doing this thing. It was repetitive and it was over and over again, and he just kind of kept, it's like he was rubbing his chin against his collarbone. He'd been doing this on and off for several days, and his neck was starting to get red and irritated, and he just kept doing it, and he kept doing it, and he couldn't stop. And he was getting frustrated. He was getting frustrated because as much as he wanted to stop, he couldn't stop. Now, if we take that 7-year-old and we move forward in time, we fast forward, and the 7-year-old becomes a 13-year-old. And this 13-year-old finds himself again sick. But this time not in a car, this time in a doctor's office. And the doctor comes in and says, Jason, you have something called Tourette Syndrome. Okay. Now, when I was diagnosed with Tourette Syndrome, I could ask the question I'm getting ready to ask, and I could almost guarantee that nobody would raise their hand, because back then I had to see numerous doctors before they could even figure out what was going on with me. But who has heard of Tourette Syndrome? If you look around, I would dare say it is at least 99%, if not 100% of the people here. You can put your hands down. But like I said, at the time, it was a mystery. Now here's the thing. Here's something that was kind of interesting that happened to me. When I was 16 years old, I decided to audition for a school play. And when I auditioned for the school play, I found myself up in front of my classmates. And for some reason that didn't make any sense to anybody, when I was standing on stage in front of my classmates, all the tics that come with Tourette Syndrome, and Tourette Syndrome is simply a if you're unfamiliar, it's a neurological disorder, and the way it manifests itself is through uncontrollable vocal or motor movement tics, T-I-C. And so what happened is the moment that I took the stage, the moment I auditioned and I got a role in this play that I auditioned for, and I was in front of everybody, my tics stopped. The moment I walked off the stage, and I was like in the lobby or in the backstage area, the tics all came back, and I would put on a whole different show than the show that I'm putting on right now. It would be a completely different experience. But for that brief period of time, that my tics were suppressed. Now, in order for you to understand what it must be like for me, who I still have this neurological disorder, I live with it on a daily basis, I had to figure out how to communicate to you what my tics look like. Now, you probably have seen people have tics before, but I want you to understand what my tics are like so that we can be on the same page together. And so this is actually raw video footage. In 2019, I was in London, England, and I was doing a tour for a magic show there, and we had to shoot a commercial. After the commercial shoot was over, the director gave me all the raw video footage. And when I looked through it, I said, here's my opportunity. Because I can't turn my tics on when I'm on stage. They're suppressed. I can show you what my tics look like on a daily basis. And they look something like this.
All right.
Really short, like little background. Yeah, you're not looking at the camera, look at me.
Yeah, I'm Jason Michaels. I started magic when I was 16 years old because I wanted to learn a few card tricks, and now...
So there you go. That's what my tics look like at age 7, at age 10, at age 13, at age 15, at age 16. And now imagine what that must be like. As a teenager, me as a teenager, walking through the hallways of a school just like this. Here's what would happen. Walk through the school hallways. Some tics might start happening. And then the people who were nearby were surprised. They'd never seen anything like it before. Maybe they were uncomfortable. And what happens when somebody's surprised or uncomfortable or just decides to be outright mean? They decide to say something to you like, what's wrong with you? What, are you a freak? They decide that they want to somehow add to the experience that I was having. So that is what, and so like literally, and this might sound crazy to you, but as an old guy, and I'm an old guy now, I still have these experiences where I might be walking through the grocery store, and understand it's not always because people are mean. Sometimes it is simply because it makes somebody, it's a total surprise. So somebody's going about their business, and then all of a sudden, the guy who's standing next to them starts doing all these weird movements, and they're like, what's going on here? And in order to make themselves more comfortable, they decide that they have to say something. By saying something, it helps them relax. But it makes me alienated. It makes me feel different from everybody else. It makes me feel less than everybody else. Here's what's interesting. Here's what happened to me. At different times, I was made fun of. I was laughed at for a condition that I had no control over. I felt like I didn't fit in, and I felt alone. And so I simply say this to you. Have you ever felt that way? Have you ever felt alone or alienated or embarrassed by something that maybe really wasn't your own fault? Have you ever looked in the mirror? Because I promise you, I understand this because I've been in this situation before. I've been in this situation, I've met enough people to understand that at some point, somebody in this room is going to look in the mirror and what you see staring back at you, what you see in your head doesn't even exist. The person that everybody else sees around them is what you really look like. But you see something in that mirror that's not even true. You're seeing a lie and you're believing something about yourself that isn't true. I've done this long enough to know that, we should advance to the next slide, that there is somebody in this room that maybe you have some sort of a problem with a family member. Maybe it's a parent or a sibling. Maybe you're in a relationship and you're dealing with something that feels overwhelming. You're dealing with something that feels embarrassing. You're dealing with something that feels alienating. And the simple truth of the matter, maybe it feels like it's a little bit impossible to deal with. Have you ever struggled with something that felt bigger or more powerful than you? The question in the last slide is, who is Jason Michaels? The question is he a victim? And so I ask the same question about you. Because if you've had these feelings, if you've dealt with these struggles, are you a victim? Have you felt like a victim? Because if we're being 100% honest, I told you that I felt like a victim as a young person. I felt as though I was alone. I felt as though I was the only person like me. And I was embarrassed. I always said that Tourette Syndrome was that thing about me that made me less than everybody else. But here's the thing that I want to ask you. I want to pose a question to you. Because I think that if I told you that every day when I wake up, that I wake up and I get up and I look at the world and I say, this sucks, I think you would understand why. I think you would get it. And if I did wake up every day I think you would go, well, that's unfortunate that he sees the world that way, but I get it. I get it. It's not fair. Tourette Syndrome wasn't a decision that he made that he has to live with. It's just the way that he was born. And so instead, the simple fact of the matter is this. I wake up every day and I get to live an adventure. I get to wake up every morning and I get to choose how I'm going to look at that day. And I can say to myself, I get to wake up another day with Tourette Syndrome. Oh, woe is me. Or I get to say, hey, I wonder what today is going to bring forth. I wonder what new person I'm going to meet. I wonder what new experience I'm going to have. I choose to look at the world with the idea of, advance it for me, please, gratitude. Richard Suter was a friend of mine who had cancer, and he had that positive is greater than negative tattooed on his body. And it reminded him every day to go out into the world and to share positivity with people. Because by sharing gratitude and thankfulness for a new day, that he could impact other people's lives. Here's something amazing. If you've ever woken up and you've had a bad day, try this one technique. You wake up, the day's not going well. Take 5 minutes. Sit down. Concentrate all your energies, all your thoughts, all of your emotions on something that you have great passion and joy for. It could be art, it could be nature, it could be athletics, it could be theater, it could be whatever it happens to be, whatever you could be gaming, whatever you are in desperate love with, something that you have great thankfulness for. Focus all your attention, all your energy, and all your feelings on it and the way that it makes you feel, because healthy thoughts crowd out unhealthy ones. Your mind, your brain can't focus on more than one thing at a time, and all that focus on these happy thoughts, these things that you're grateful for, will immediately turn your day around. The idea of giving thanks brings more optimism, it brings more positivity, it brings more thankfulness, compassion, generosity. And I want to share an idea with you that is perhaps a little bit controversial. There we go. Sorry. Go back. Yep. Oh, sorry. Go forward. When life is unfair, because it is. Life's not always fair. I didn't want Tourette Syndrome, and I didn't even do something to catch Tourette Syndrome. This is just how my life is. Your challenges in life, the struggles that you deal with, the struggles that I deal with, I learned, and it took me decades. This is not something I learned in a year or two. It didn't I didn't learn in 10 years. It took me decades to learn that the reason that I am as empathetic as I am, the reason that I can feel other people's pain without having to live the exact situation that they have lived, is because of the fire that I've gone through with the tics and the Tourette Syndrome and the being made fun of. Empathy is my superpower, and my question to you is, what superpower is being honed through the struggle that you might be having today? And so the controversial thought is this, and I never would have told you this when I was 18, 25, or even 30, because I didn't see it. I couldn't see it. But the simple fact of the matter is, whatever that challenge that might feel impossible to overcome right now, that challenge that feels more like it's more than you can handle, that challenge might be your gift. It might be the one thing that defines who you are. And it might be the best thing that ever happened to you. And so, we revisit the beginning. I was standing on the side of the stage, and I was strapped into a device called a straitjacket. I need somebody preferably who's 18. All right. What's your name? Appreciate it. Let's give Winston another round of applause. All right, Winston. Listen, your job is to verify this is exactly what it appears to be. It's a heavy-duty canvas straitjacket. Feel free to check it out. You don't have to, but if you want to make sure there's nothing in the arms that would give me any help, you're welcome to take a look. By show of hands, who knows the name Harry Houdini? Okay, look around. That's a lot of people. You can put your hands down. Now, here's the question. How in the world does a group of students in 2024 know the name Harry Houdini when Harry Houdini has been dead for almost 80 years? And one of the reasons you know his name is because of this device, a straitjacket. So Harry Houdini was the first person in the early 1900s, he was the very first person to ever attempt to escape from a straitjacket. Winston, here's what's going to happen. You're going to strap me into the straitjacket. The straitjacket goes on exactly the opposite of a normal jacket. The 4 buckles at the back get fastened, starting at the very top. Yeah, get it as tight as you can possibly get it, and take your time so that you get each one securely done. Now, the straitjacket itself was devised in the 1790s. And it was in the early 1900s that Harry Houdini decided to make the straitjacket a personal challenge to himself, which means that for over 100 years, listen to me, for over 100 years, it was believed to be impossible to escape from a straitjacket. The straitjacket was used in insane asylums, and we don't like that term nowadays, but that's what it was called. They were insane asylums, and they were used specifically to constrain people so they wouldn't hurt themselves or other people. Grab that for me. Take that around the back. There's a buckle right there. Get that. Yeah, there you go. Don't fall off the stage. Work your way back the other way so you can use leverage. Did you get it? All right, the last step. All right. This is the reason we're all uncomfortable right now. So, all right. There's one buckle at the very back. Get that as tight as you can get it. All right, let's give Winston a round of applause. All right, listen to me. If you've ever dealt with something impossible or that felt impossible, this demonstration that Harry Houdini attempted in the early 1900s was the first time that someone had successfully escaped from a device that was impossible to escape from for over 100 years. I'm going to tell you a story you've heard before, and it starts with a 7-year-old, and the 7-year-old is sitting next to his dad in the passenger side, and for some reason he keeps rubbing his chin against his collarbone, and he can't stop. His neck is red and irritated, and he just keeps doing it over and over again. Fast forward 6 years, and the 7-year-old becomes a 13-year-old sitting at the passenger side. Sitting in a doctor's office, and this doctor, this pediatric neurologist, knew exactly what the problem was. None of the other doctors could tell him. None of the other doctors could tell his parents. But this doctor came in and said, "Jason, you have something called Tourette Syndrome." It started him on medications that did virtually nothing to stop the annoying tics, twitches, and vocalizations. The 16-year-old was focused, reading a script. He'd never seen a script before, much less auditioned for the school play. And to some of his friends and even his family, it was impossible. He would never be able to live his dream of being a professional entertainer. They thought that dream was totally and completely impossible. Present day, and the 48-year-old dude stood on the side of the stage and he listened to his introduction being read, and he thought it was unbelievable. He thought it was amazing that all those people had told him, "Impossible. You'll never be able to do the things that are impossible in your life." And then he thought back to all the different places he'd seen and the people he'd met. and the adventures that he had had. And then don't ever believe that something that you're dealing with is impossible to overcome. I have just shown you an example that everything that you can and that you want to achieve is truly possible. Friends, if you have any interest in what I do a show every Saturday night about 3 blocks away from here. I would love to see you there. My name is Jason Michaels. You guys have a great rest of the day.